Okay. And then go to the Facebook. Yeah, since we're gonna stream live. Yeah, we're doing it now.
Did turn on the sound system.
I'll do it.
Just a reminder.
I'm good. Glad you shut up. I hope you tell. I'm leaving at 20. I know. But I can introduce you to all the cool people. Celestine is, you know her. You know Jenna, remember her? This is Donna.
How you doing?
Donna's one of the so I listen to the Exclusive podcast, and her co-host is a guy named Andrew Collins, and he's performing tonight.
Oh, is this the secret show?
No, it's not.
It's a known show.
Ellen, does the PA need to be turned on? Okay.
I think
Testing 1, 2.
let's get back here.
Are you ready to tell us, Steve? That would be happy to.
We'll give it an extra couple minutes.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Indy Story Slam put on by Storytelling Arts of Indiana. We're going to be competing for prizes, telling stories in slam fashion up to 5 minutes. In first person, it must be true and based on the theme, and this month it is friends and strangers. I would now like to introduce our illustrious hostess for the evening, Celestine Bloomfield.
Hey! How many friends do we have out here? All right, good, good. Most of y'all are strangers too. Okay? So that is our topic for today. We are presented by our Storytelling Arts of Indiana and Freetown Village. And we'd like to thank our media sponsor, WFYI, and also the Garage for hosting us tonight. Now listen, I'm going to remind you of what you need to do. Because some of y'all are sitting out there thinking, story? I don't have a story. But let me tell you what's going to happen. One person is going to tell a story, you're going to say, ooh, I remember when that happened to me. And you're going to find Samantha, and you're going to sign up to tell a story. And we're going to randomly pull your name out of that lime green basket. Now, you may tell a story 5 minutes or less. We don't want to be here for a half hour or all night. We got things to do. It must be a true story, told in the first person, and based on the theme of friends and strangers. And you may not use any props. No papers, like I'm doing right now. And don't read it. You know, my mother did not like going out with me. She tried to pretend to be shy. She was probably the quietest person in our family. But what she didn't like about hanging out with me was I never met a stranger. So I talked to everybody. Babies, grandparents, people in the elevator. If you try to avoid talking to me, that just made me talk a little bit more. So I know you have a story about somebody who didn't want to talk to you. Now this is a free event, but Freetown Village and Storytelling Arts of Indiana will accept donations. You may text 44321 with SAI in the body of the text. Or you want to just write me a check right now, no problem. But I'm hoping someone has already signed up to tell a story. Anybody?
Oh, maybe not. Anyone need one?
Anybody need, the people on that table need that pizza? Don't you need one of these slips? No? Where you from?
I'm going to.
Indiana? Where you been lately? Nowhere? Talk to me. You see how we talk to strangers? We just make them part of the family. I know before the evening is over, you're gonna have a story to tell from that table right there. Okay? But until then, I have a new friend. I've been following her on Facebook. I know she's hilarious, so I can't wait till I hear the story that Jenna Vaughn is about to tell. Come on now.
You can try to turn it up.
Okay, hi everyone. This is my first time doing the storytelling slam, and so here it goes. I'm going to talk to you guys about a stranger that I met in my life. I met this stranger in kindergarten. My kindergarten teacher introduced me to someone, and I immediately thought to myself, my mom always told me that I shouldn't talk to strangers. But this wasn't someone that you could talk to. This was someone that you can share things with. And it would never go anywhere unless you really wanted it to. And that stranger was a journal. So when I was in kindergarten, I started writing. About similar times, we'd write, oh, what's your favorite color? Like, what do you like to do? What was your favorite part of the day? And I was very excited to write down what my favorite part of the day was. Then as I went on to grade school, it was still a journal, we write it. We had a prompt that we had to do, and we had to write down a compliment about other people in class. And one of the guys who sat next to me, he told me that he liked my high cheekbones. And I was like, how does he know about high cheekbones in the 4th grade? But he knew about them, and that compliment has stuck with me for a very long time. And it's one of my features that I really love the most, because he could have said anything, my eyes, my smile, but high cheekbones. Okay, we'll go with it. Then in middle school, my journal became a composition book, and it became all about just cramming out work and doing my assignments and making sure I got everything done on time. So then one day, our 6th grade math teacher told us to write down an exotic food that we wanted to try. And I was in like the smart class, so I had all the well-to-do people in my class, and I was not one of them, but I was very smart. And I wrote down that I wanted to try broccoli. That was my exotic food. And I spelled it BROCKLEY. Because I'd never seen it, I'd never tried it. But all of my friends talked about eating broccoli, and I just thought it had to be the greatest thing in the world. So middle school came, and I wrote that down. And I wrote down other things that were happening in my life. But I also thought back to a time when I was in kindergarten, where my teacher just wanted to know what my favorite part of the day was. And I realized that my mom had never asked me what my favorite part of the day was. So I started writing that down again. And then I realized it was too painful So I left the journal alone. Then I traveled to London. So we fast forward. I graduated high school. I graduated undergrad. I traveled all the way to London for grad school. And I had a 45-minute commute from my school to my flat because I was a poor college student. So I had to stay very far out because I couldn't afford to stay in the city. But I looked up one day from my reading and I realized that there was a stop on our train route. And it was broccoli. And it was spelled B-R-O-C-K-L-Y. And it made me think back to a time where I wrote my journal. So then I set my sights to figure out what ways could I use this journal to just help me in my life. So I started writing skits and comedy, and now the stand-up comedian. She follows me. But I just started writing down all of my dreams and my hopes. And I thought to myself that this stranger became a friend, and I never want to allow it to become a stranger again. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much. And now we're friends, we're no longer strangers. Listen, that table over there was me. I left out an important fact. There are cash prizes. They're not even listening anymore. I'm gonna have to go over there and talk to them. We are gonna move to sound. Okay? Little technical difficulties right here. But we have first, second, and third place prizes. First place prize is $50. If you can't hear me, we didn't realize it was loud. But you know, my other occupation before I retired, I was a teacher. So you know, we don't need a microphone. We're just trying to talk low enough so you don't get the reverberations. But our next teller is Tracy Williams. And while you're thinking about what story you're going to tell, if we only have 3 people, we have to give them first, second, and third place prize. But the more people who tell, the more chances you have of winning moolah. So Tracy, come on down. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, is it working? Okay, good. Okay.
Sounds good.
Now, this story, last month, I was a freshman in high school, and it was a story, juicy story. Now, this story, I'm a sophomore in college. Okay, now, you know your parents tell you when you're young, don't talk to strangers, and then when you get to college, don't go off with any strange men, don't go with these people in the city that you don't know. Okay, sophomore now, it's on and popping. We know how to handle things. We're not freshmen anymore, and we also decided we're not going to have that cafeteria lunch anymore. Cafeteria lunch then was different than the colleges today, where they have all the fancy foods and different selections. You had the ladies standing back there with their white coats on and their hairnets on, and they would put the food on the tray for you. We said, no, we're going to keep our money this semester. We're going to have food on our own. We're going to, this is going to work. Then we'll have extra money to go hang out and party. Well, that didn't work too good. So we had a sort of a non-spoken rule. If somebody invited you out to eat, your roommate had to come too. Okay, sometimes you had 2 roommates, not just 1 roommate. Okay, this guy, he was a stranger to me and one of my friends. It was 3 of us. And we went to the grocery store to shop. This was the time that Quaker Oats just came out with the oatmeal packet, okay, the instant oatmeal. Oh, we were gonna have a funky good time off of it. You had apple cinnamon, you had maple brown sugar. Oh, we were really gonna shop. We were gonna have a good time with this oatmeal. Anyway, this guy liked one of the friends, and he asked her, can I take you out to eat? And she said, well, you know, my roommate come? And he said, oh, okay. And he took us. And then he asked, do we want to go by his apartment? Well, it's 3 of us. He's an old dude. He's 25. We can beat him. He's old. We can get him. He's 25 years old. He's not, you know, we can take care of him if something happens. So we say, okay, we'll stop by, we'll eat the food, we'll hang out a bit. So we go there. We go to this apartment. We don't know where we are in Nashville. We just go there. We just sophomores. Anyway, the apartment was immaculate. It was nice. I thought I stepped into my grandmother's house or something. Everything was in order, dusted and neat. Well, he said he had a roommate. And we said, oh, shoot, he lives with a girl. He's got a girlfriend, he lives with a girl. Well, we were waiting, we hanging out, listening to music, talking, joking around. All of a sudden, a key goes into the lock, and the door opens. Oh my goodness, somebody stepped through that door. A 6'4" tall, what we thought was a man, a white man. And we didn't know what to think because this man didn't look like a regular man. He had on a wig. He was dressed kind of feminine. So we didn't know what was going on. We went into panic mode. We scooched together closer and closer on that couch. All 3 of us were sitting next to each other, but we were so close you would have thought we were Siamese triplets or something. We were sitting so close to each other. I'm in my mind saying, oh Lord Jesus, please, I don't know what I've done. Please, I'll do anything. I won't do this again. I won't go to some strange guy's house. I won't do it. I won't do it. And then in the other breath, I'm saying, oh shit, what have we done? We have went somewhere we shouldn't be. What have I done? What have I done? Anyway, the guy says to his roommate, the man came in, said to his roommate, I don't remember this guy's name, so we're gonna call him Mike. Mike, what's going on here? And he said, can I talk to you? And they went in another room and started talking. And we looking at each other. What have we done? How we gonna get home? What we gonna do? Anyway, he came back out. He had a turban on. He had a kimono on. He sat down and he started talking to us. And we relaxed a little bit. We still scared. We still sitting pretty close to each other. And he said, how you girls doing? And we said, fine. Y'all go to state? Yeah, we go to state, you know. And we just started talking to him, and he started talking to us. And he told us, he said, I'm a performer. Well, I'm a theater major, so I'm like, oh, okay. I'm getting relaxed now. I can move over a little bit. You performer? Yes, I am a female impersonator. And we're from Indiana, but we kind of know what that is. So we said, oh, okay. And the evening turned out fine. We thought we were in for some trouble, but we weren't. It turned out to be a fine evening. We met some new people. They were strangers, but they became new friends. Can I say one more thing? Yes. The 2 friends that I was with, I talked to both of them, and they have been so traumatized by this event, neither one of them could remember.
Good job.
It doesn't matter with the microphone. That was hilarious. I know about back memories of some of y'all back there, about the time you were in college and you thought you were grown and you went off with these guys, and in the back of your head you can hear your mama's voice saying, I was all right with following my friend. We left the party and went to these guys' house. I was in Cleveland. I was in grad school, so I really should have known better. Meeting strangers at a bar, going to their house. I was fine until he locked the back door with a key. And I looked. The windows were up high. I couldn't climb up there to climb out. I looked. He didn't leave the key in the door. I said, oh no, Leslie, we have got to go. You know, the rule is when you go out with your girlfriends, we all go together, we all come back together. So if you want to do some dallying around, you got to do it on your own. So I told the guy, look, you either open this door or I'm going to break it down. So I am here to tell you that I survived that night. Now, I know somebody out there now is thinking about a story about friends and or strangers. I know you want to sign up. Think about it. You've all been to college. You've all done things like your mama and daddy gone. We're not going to tell you. I know you got a story to tell. Think about it. And right now, our next teller is Chat Flat. Come on down.
You are short. I just put that in there. I grew up not in Detroit, but in the kind of suburb where a person who looks like me might hear a lot of things about the city, like drive with all your doors locked and don't stop for red lights. I didn't take that last part quite literally. It sounded like the kind of thing people just say. There was that time after college when I did live in the city and work downtown. I had to accompany a coworker making a delivery uptown. A grown-up, sensible manager type coworker commuted in from the suburbs, so her car was nearby, was more practical for a trip like that than my bike, so she drove through the red lights the way up and back. I'm squeezing myself as small as I can away from the glass and the steel, and she's like, what? You gotta remember where we are, you have to think about safety. And I guess if I hadn't been thinking enough about safety as I pedaled into work that morning, on that drive I made up for that. Now this was all a few years after what stands as a night I was happiest of all to be in Detroit. 1990, Nelson Mandela was freed in South Africa, traveled around the world to shore up support for a free South Africa. Detroit was one of his stops. Publicity for that was all over, but I might have missed that little note in the newspaper about 3 weeks before asking for 2,000 voices to sing him in. And the night I saw it was the night of the first practice, and I almost said, that's across town, I just got home from work and I'm tired. They'll find 2,000 other voices, because you know he only spent 27 years in prison for a cause, and you know how hard it is to drive across town to show up for a practice. So I showed up, And that event, 3 practices later, he steps off the plane. He gets to meet the 77-year-old Rosa Parks. They swap some stories. He shows up at Tiger Stadium, tens of thousands of people, city and suburbs there, 2,000 of us to sing him in. Everybody there was something bigger than safety to think about that night. That spirit was something other people noticed. It was not just me. I had about a dozen blocks to walk home when it was all done. It was a warm June midnight. Every sidewalk, every street corner on the way home, little clumps and knots of people standing out in the night, talking to each other, talking about what just happened, whether they were there in the stadium or not, talking with hope. I stopped in for a bite back in my neighborhood. People spot the choir getup I still have on. They wanted to talk to me about that. That spirit was just everywhere that night. And this all fell within the regular Freedom Festival that Detroit and Windsor do every year. Canada Day, July 1st, in U.S. Independence, July 4th. These days of events all fit around this giant fireworks show on the river. So just a few nights later, I am back downtown for that. It again draws a bunch of people in from outside the city, as it does every year. But how come they're feeling more like strangers now? I'm still wrapped up in that spirit from just a few nights before. And isn't a Freedom Festival kind of the same idea? But it's this thing that comes around every year and comes to be less about the idea, and it's more a big-ass fireworks show. The kind of thing you drive down to with all your doors locked and stampede back to your car afterward. And the last thing I remember as I turned around for home that night was seeing a kid who got separated from her group in the crowd on Jefferson Avenue who just looked terrified for where she was. These 2 events, 1 idea, just nights apart. One where so many people felt like friends, and one that just felt so much more like strangers.
Please let me know.
Didn't that spark another story in you? Didn't somebody out there think about another tale they wanted to tell? We've got this lime green basket. You can drop your name in the pot so you can tell another story. Listen, I'd like to thank our volunteers because we have Vivian Robinson, Carol Robinson, Jessica Warren, and Sean Nichols. Because they're sitting out here mingling in with the group. You don't know who's keeping time. You don't know who's judging. You don't know who's scoring. But somehow, before the night is over, we will have a first, second, and third place winner. Somebody will win the Friends and Strangers story stage. But right now, Jennifer Cleave, come on down.
So there's a question that everyone likes to ask newly married couples. How is married life treating you? And I don't think when people ask this, they want a real answer. And I think most newlyweds, normal newlyweds, just say, great. I have never mastered socially appropriate. So whenever I was asked how married life was treating me 9 years ago after Danny and I were first married, I would always tell them, it is like having a sleepover every night with your best, most annoying friend. Danny loves to mess with people, and once we were living together and sleeping in the same bed, it was like he'd wake up, look to the side of him, and think, how can I mess with Jennifer today? There was a time he and I got in an argument about whether or not banks are open on Memorial Day. And he took my phone, changed his contact information so that I later got a text from Banks of America assuring me that they were all open all day. There was another time on his walk to school when he took a picture of roadkill and texted it to me telling me that he would bring it home for dinner. And then there was a time that I got my hair cut and I didn't want anyone to notice. And for the next 2 days, I received calls and text messages congratulating me on my bangs. And I think Danny would say that I messed with him in my own way. After I moved into his house, I immediately started changing things. The place was a total dude tub when I moved in. He and his roommate, they like to collect couches off the street, and there were 3 in the living room facing nowhere. There was the extra bedroom they were using for storage, but it was more of a dumping ground. I think I found food in there. And then the whole first floor was painted that sell your house beige, which was like living in a pair of khaki pants. And so I immediately set about girlifying the place. And looking back, I think at the time I would have said I was doing us both a favor, but looking back, I think I was trying to make his house feel like my home. I don't know exactly when Danny's house became my home, but I do know the day I realized it was. I got home from, I was a teacher, I got home from school that day, and Danny was standing in the front yard, and he said, I think we've had a break-in. And for a minute, I thought he was messing with me, but then I looked at his face, and he was scared. And I don't know much about robbing people, but this was the strangest break-in that I could imagine. The cushions of our couch were overturned. And later on, Danny and I would joke that when the thieves came into our house, they took one look at our box TV and then kicked the couches off in disgust. The wedding cards we had saved were dumped out and sorted through. And the only things missing were Danny's no-brand acoustic guitar and his class ring. So it was as if this sentimental, musically inclined robber had decided to break into our house. The police came, they assured us it was safe to go back in, but I couldn't shake this feeling that a stranger had been in our home. This stranger had seen where we sleep and eat and watch our boxy TV. They knew what we looked like from our photographs. They probably knew our names. And I just had this feeling that the stranger was still lurking in our attic or basement, which I know is crazy. But I started having these recurring nightmares about the break-in. And there was one night when I woke up screaming, and Danny, of course, woke up, and he asked me what was wrong. I had had a nightmare that someone had come in and taken our new IKEA rug, one of my many improvements to our living room, and Danny just rubbed my back and made me feel safe, and I fell back asleep. But the next day, when I got back from school, I unlocked the door, walked in, and our living room rug is gone. And in that moment of confusion / slow realization, Danny rounds the corner and yells, "We've been robbed!" And I never had another nightmare about a break-in because I think I realized that no stranger could be stranger than my best, most annoying friend.
That's hilarious. Thank you, Jennifer. That was great. Anybody else out there thinking about a story they want to tell? About friends or strangers? Come on. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about our night. We're going to pass out some yellow surveys, and I want you to complete them because we're going to hold a drawing at the end of the evening for 2 complimentary tickets to a storytelling show of your choice. Our next show is at the Eugene and Marilyn Glick, Indiana History Center on December 3rd, featuring Tim Lowry telling Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. To learn more about that, please visit storytellingarts.org. You might want to know that the Freetown Village Singers are also performing during Winter Lights on the grounds of Newfields on November 29th, 30th, and December 13th and 14th. And for more information about that, visit freetownvillage.org. Got it? Don't tell me you don't have nothing to do these coming weekends because we got stuff for you to participate in. Our next Story Slam will take place on December 21st, 7 p.m. at Metazoa Brewing Company, 140 South College Avenue. And the theme is memories and mementos. Memories. Okay, I'll say that for 21st. Do I have anybody else waiting to tell a story? I have never, ever had somebody not come up and tell a story about a friend, about a stranger. You know, I'm worried because I'm losing a lot of my friends. Like I go places, like my high school reunion, and I look at these old people, and I say, oh, look at the old people. And I realize we're the same age. My feelings are hurt. At any rate, do we have any more tellers? Well, Samantha's going to honor us with a story about friends or strangers. Yeah. Okay, done.
Okay. I'm good.
Donna Jones.
Things about years ago, I met someone. His father was actually. Let me go back to the beginning. In 1967, my family moved across 38th Street to 5689 North Illinois. It was a little bit. We were the 3rd black family to live in this neighborhood. Down the street was a little Jewish girl named Marlene. One day she came over to my house, my mom was outside, and she goes, "Can your little girl come out and play?" So obviously she realized that these people had a dog. So my mom came and got her. She was actually the only girl in the neighborhood my age. There were 5 kids in my neighborhood that were 4 my age. My brother from another mother, Melvin, John Joseph Wesley Lee III, whose father was the first black commissioned naval officer, and he had traveled around the world as a Navy brat, and Marlene and me. Oh my God. Now, having been brought up in a Christian family, in a black church, Marlene was my introduction to a whole world. The best thing about it is Marlene introduced me to Mike Sell's potato chips. Her dad used to have a little store downtown, and this was back when Mike Sell's came in cans. Every week he would buy a can of Mike Sell's potato chips. And he had to buy a can every week, because every day after school, Marlene and I were at her house, chilling that can of chips. She also introduced me
She got to have a car, and she got to drive. So I went with Marlene to every Jewish young people social thing all over town. I went to the Jewish Community Center. I went to the big congregation there on Meridian. I can't remember above on 86th, before you get to 86th Street. They're on the east side. Because I had a large young people's program. So, yeah, I'm talking about strangers becoming friends. We are now, and just celebrated our 50th high school anniversary. So, we still stay in touch. She's still a friend. Love her to death. So, friends, strangers. Yep. And we're still pretty strange. And all of the things that we do together. Because she's a vegan, and I'm a straight up omnivore. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Donna Jones. I had the opportunity to meet Miss Marlene, and she was at our house service at Washington Park Cemetery. Anybody else got another story? Friends? Strangers? Come on down.
I was not planning on, did everyone hear me okay? Okay. I was not planning on telling a story tonight, but here we are. So, my junior year of college, I transferred. I made what some people would call a sin in Indiana life by transferring from Indiana University to Purdue University. I was a junior at that point, so it's kind of a late in your college career to switch schools, and I thought that joining a sorority would be the best way to gain a group of friends, which it did. That's not the friends part here. I was with my sorority sisters. I just joined, and we were going to drop something off. And the boys at the fraternity house, when we were dropping stuff off, were like, "Are you guys interested in some beverages and a tour?" And what sorority girl is going to say no to that? So we went for a tour of a fraternity house. Nothing really to see there. And he takes us out to the veranda. So anyone who knows, hearing the word veranda when you're a junior in college, fancy. And so we're hanging out, and all of a sudden, I look below, and there's this tall, dark, handsome boy, and he's tossing branches into the dumpster. And to me, it's just like the most manly thing you can do, right? You're like, oh man, college guys have life together. And so eventually I said, invite him up here. And so he comes up and he says, "This is Kevin." I said, "Hi." The whole way home, I skipped, and I told my sorority sisters that one day, Lumberjack Kevin would love me. Eventually, I braved up the nerve to ask him to our barn dance. Again, if you're familiar with sorority life, barn dance is a big deal. It's like the marriage proposal of college. And by, braved up the nerve, my sorority sister actually asked him for me via text. And so at this point, we're pretty much strangers. And I get ready for barn dance. My sister took me out to get a new outfit. I was super excited. I bought a fake horse, stuffed horse on a stick, and I'm thinking I'm cool. And this man, this guy, the whole night there, he's pretty quiet. I'm going, oh man, he's having a terrible time. This is just not going to work out. I'm going to have to go back and tell them Lumberjack Kevin did not work out. And we're, getting closer. We're having some beverages. And he says, first thing he says when we walk in the barn, most people run off to get drinks, or they run off to go dance or take pictures. And he says, "I'm going to hit up the buffet." Cool. I like that style. So he gets his plate of food, and he, mixes it all up, and he's eating, and we're just sitting in silence. And at the end of it, he starts scooping all of the food together. So he has a little bit, some pulled pork, he has some mac and cheese, a little coleslaw in there, just the remnants of what was left, and he takes a spoonful, and he looks at me, and he goes, you want it? And he gives me this bite full of everything. Now this is where I think I differed from most of my peers in college, because most girls are like, I'm not hungry, and I was like, heck yeah. And I'm like, feed me that stuff. Again, had some beverages. So now I'm thinking, all right, we're on to something. By the end of the night, we had our fun, he twirled me around, again, having a great time. All of a sudden, he's coming out of his, out of his shell a little bit. And on the way home, I realized I don't have my wallet. I left my wallet at the barn. Well, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. We're clearly in a barn, and we're almost back to campus. And so he says, that's fine, we'll worry about it later, whatever. So we're walking back he's walking me home, and I said, I'm really hungry. And he said, yeah, it's a shame you lost your wallet. But before he can even finish that sentence, I have my phone and I dialed the local pizza place, and I'm ordering a pizza, a large pizza, cheese sticks, and extra cheese sauce to his fraternity house. And I look at him and I said, please? And I held my hand out. And he kind of looked around and he gets his wallet out, and so he gives it to me, his card. And in that moment, I realized that I was the one who was in love with Lumberjack Kevin. So we went from strangers to best friends, and now he is my husband.
I just love that story. I like to collect stories of how people met. And that was, I'm gonna go, oh. Anyway, anybody else got a story out there they want to tell? Yeah, anybody? What about those people over there at the bar? The ones that don't have no glasses in front of them. You know what I'm saying? Are that friends you want to talk about?
Let's talk about these two.
Huh?
Talk about these, because I'm collecting.
She's collecting the youngsters who's going to pull for free tickets. I have some really good friends. And everybody is not your friend. And you got to know when they're not your friend. Okay? Like a friend is somebody that when your mother dies, they come to your house, they don't ask you what can they do. They just start doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know you need a friend till you need a friend. And they just step in and start doing things. And I have been fortunate to have some great friends in my life. I don't have a lot of them, but I got a circle of friends that I would do anything for, and they would do anything for me. Now, they also understand that I have brothers. I love my brothers, but Lord, they get on my nerves. They are the most charming men you ever want to meet in your life. And I made the mistake one time of going out with one of my brothers. And I was sitting with a friend, but my brother was talking so much smack that my mouth was like, and my friend leaned over to me and said, close your mouth. My brothers don't meet strangers, and they have moved to town, and they are often amazed when somebody knows me. And they say, Bloomfield, do you have a sister who used to, and they come back and give me a report. It might be an old student, it might be a former parent, but when you're a teacher, no matter how long you live, if they recognize you in the mall, they will come up and talk to you. So I have no strangers. Everybody I meet is a friend. Are you sure you don't have a story over there? Not one? Not a single tale? Well, we're going to collect those yellow slips, and I'm going to remind you that our next story slam is December 21st. No, we don't take off for the holidays. Okay? I'm going to bring some of my mementos to that meeting. Now, let me remind you that Charles Dickens, being told by Tim Lowry, our Christmas Carol will be out December 3rd, and that the Freetown Village Singers are performing during Winter Lights on the grounds of Newfields the weekend of November 29th and 30th, and December 13th and 14th. Well, I'm waiting, I'm stalling, y'all know that, right? I wish I had a story about friends and strangers I could tell you. It is 140 South College Avenue, and the theme is memories and momentum. Momentum. Okay. Okay, we are going to draw for 3 tickets, and the winner is Jennifer Clee. Congratulations. And right now, we're going to ask that the winners tonight, first, second, and third place winners, will hang out for a picture, and we might even pay you tonight. You never know. Do we know the winners yet?
Yeah.
Third place winner is Chat Black. Congratulations. We have a tie for second place. Samantha and Tracy. And our first place winner is Jennifer Clee. Please hang out so we get to take your picture. I hope to see you again on December 21st, same time, different place, different station. Thanks for coming.